My female 27 best friend, female 27, says my fiance, male 28, admitted feelings for her. He denies it. So I've been with my fiance since I was 17, 10 years together, and I've been best friends with my friend since we were 8. Generally, they've gotten on fine throughout that time, until a few years ago when my friend picked me up after a few drinks one night. I hadn't known that she was buzzed, and we got into a wreck. We were both fine, but he thinks she's irresponsible, so he's just been very formally polite to her since then. When she comes to visit me, he goes into the other room to play video games or something. Anyways, about 2 weeks ago, she texted me and asked me to get lunch with her. Places are open in our area. I met up with her, and she tells me that my fiance told her that he had feelings for her and wanted them to be together, but she told him no. I was obviously upset and asked when this happened, where, and did he message her so that I can see the message, etc. She immediately got really angry with me, accusing me of not believing her when we've been friends for so long. I asked that she at least tell me where and when this happened, even if there is no proof, and she refused, saying if after all this time and friendship together, I don't believe her, then I'm better off being with a dirty cheater, and stormed off before the food even got to the table. I went home to talk to my fiance about it. Really upset, of course. He seemed genuinely confused about the accusation, from what I could tell, and asked when she's saying this happened, since he's very rarely around her. The only time he ever sees her is if he walks through the living room to get food from the kitchen before going back to his office, and he's never been in the house with her alone. I admitted that she wouldn't tell me because she thinks that I should have just believed her. I brought up that he could have messaged her it, and he immediately handed me his phone and told me to look through it if that would help, and go ahead. I went through the whole thing, and honestly, nothing. They're not even friends on any social media. He doesn't have any weird texting apps, no contacts that are weird in his phone. He does have her number in his phone, but there's no messages to her or any calls to or from her. He's also been working from home. I do all of our shopping / running around, so only one of us has to go out. We have security cameras at our place, so her dropping by without the system giving my phone an alert that she was there was very unlikely. So, unless he texted her and immediately deleted it, so she'd have proof, I would assume, or if he happened to run into her the 1 or 2 times he's been out in the last year, or he raced out of his office to proclaim his love to her while I was in the bathroom, then I have no clue where this could have happened. So I'm inclined to believe him, seeing as we've been together for 10 years. I can't think of when this happened, and she won't tell me anything else. Our mutual friends are divided, some saying it's suspect that she won't tell me anything, but others saying, as her best friend, I should believe her because there's no reason for her to lie, whereas my fiance would have a reason to if he did it. I don't know what to believe at this point. My friend is still completely shut down on me. I called her trying to talk about it, but she told me not to contact her again unless I believe her, and hung up on me. My fiance has been completely open about everything. Part of me is wondering if she's lying because she knows that he doesn't really like her from what happened a few years ago and is trying to break us up. And then part of me is wondering if he really did text her and she's telling the truth and being so difficult for no apparent reason. Any advice on how to handle this? It doesn't sound like that is the truth. Like, my gut feeling is to not believe her. But then, of course, you're always going to be like, well, why would she lie? And then, it's hard and you have to, figure out really what happened and either get her to admit that she's lying or get your husband to admit that he's lying. Or your fiance, I guess. But I'm interested, if this ends up being that she's telling the truth, I will honestly be shocked. Someone commented, it really does sound like your friend made it up. It's obvious that in a situation like that, when she told you, would have been shocked and wanted more information. And if she was telling the truth, she would have done all she could do to absolutely make you certain about it. Because a fiance cheating obviously is a big deal. Also, what makes the story so improbable is that if he doesn't even like her character, they don't talk, nor do they have a good friendship. At most, he could have wanted to have sex with her and not told her that he had feelings for her. Like, what? When a boyfriend cheats, usually it's because of a physical attraction that maybe if the cheating continues can develop into feelings. But I've never ever heard of about a few specific cases like this. But it was when a guy confessed to her freaking beast, her best friend of over 10 years, than some bitch who got my girlfriend in an accident. What? I'm sorry. That comment was crazy. OP said, yeah, honestly, if it happened prior to the accident, I think I would have been more likely to believe her since we all hung out together. And they both said good things about each other. Since the accident, he's made it clear to me that he doesn't want to even be around her, but tolerated her because I care about her. But part of me is questioning if he was only saying all of that as some cover up because he had feelings. But that feels like I'm just overthinking at this point. No, I feel that though. I would think that too, but I do feel like at this point it's just like you're overthinking now and you're thinking that it's real and you're trying to come up with like on both sides, like why would she lie and then why would he lie, and if it's true, if it's not true. And I feel like your mind is probably just like spinning at this point and spiraling. Okay, this is the update and it's 3 days later. Well, I woke up the morning after the post and hadn't expected that many responses. I sat and read them all, and it was pretty unanimous that she was lying for some reason, and if she wasn't lying, she was being a crap friend for how she went about this. Some comments also made me realize how much shit my fiance has had to go through because of her presence in my life. So I woke him up and told him I believed him and apologized for letting this drag on like I did. I took the advice of someone and made a group chat minus the now ex-best friend and sent them the post and just asked them that they read it. Most of them sort of waffled until one said, had she not known either of us, it would be obvious who was lying, and they all agreed it was too suspect. One of them called me shortly after asking me to meet up with her to talk, so I did. She is the one closest to ex-best friend other than myself. She basically told me ex-best friend has been complaining about my fiance for like half a year to her, about how he's still mad, how he must be making me spend less time with her, that I'm going to marry someone that is actively trying to tear us apart as friends. She was able to show me some texts where ex-best friend was saying these sort of things, and one of her in her maid of honor dress with a text saying, my dress for the funeral of our friendship. Then leading up to now, where my friend was asking her if it was true, and she was snapping at her too through text to stop questioning her, and it doesn't matter if she's lying anyway. Friend said she hadn't reached out to me prior because she thought after the wedding, ex-best friend would realize it wasn't as bad as she thought it was going to be. Then when all of this happened, she didn't think that texts were proof enough to show me and nuke our relationship. But the post made her feel bad for not showing me them. So she gave me some of the screenshots and I went to my ex-best friend's apartment myself to talk to her. She let me in and I asked her if she had anything to tell me before we went any further. She doubled down that she refuses to give me details, repeating the same exact stuff. So I told her I knew that she was lying, and I had proof that she was. I showed her screenshots that I had, which she accused other friend of photoshopping to make her look bad. Once I told her I read them in person off of friend's phone, she started going on about how everyone is trying to tear our friendship apart after the accident and how it isn't fair on her. I told her maybe if she apologized and tried to make changes in her life instead of insisting for years that it's not her fault and then coming up with this lie, maybe none of that would have happened. I told her that even had she been telling the truth, the way that she chose to tell me and make this some shitty loyalty test of her telling me some of the most devastating news of my life shows that she isn't a good friend to me. I forgave the accident because I cared for her, and I took it as a mistake, but obviously that care doesn't go both ways. Told her not to contact me again and that I told our friend group everything going on, sent them screenshots, and they can make their own decisions on who they do and don't want to spend time with based on the information that they have. But I won't be seeing her again. I will be blocking her on everything, and to not attempt to fix this because it's unforgivable. I still feel mentally and emotionally drained from all of this, but there's also a massive weight lifted off of my shoulders. As for the wedding, instead of choosing another friend in this group, I asked my fiance's little sister to be my maid of honor, and she's very excited. Fiance is also relieved that he doesn't have to deal with my ex-best friend anymore, and says that he's just happy it's all settled. As for the rest of my friends, the one that showed me the text, I'm not going to stay in contact with her either since she hid all of this and only showed me out of guilt. The others, I guess I'll see how it goes. Edit about the friend who told me. Maybe in time I can move past it, but right now I can't really look at her. It's not that she just didn't tell me right away, I just feel uncomfortable. I would spend time with the two of them a lot, and to know that there was conversations about my fiance, the wedding, the relationship, and our friendship going on between them like that, yeah. The maid of honor dress photo, I'm literally next to her in the picture. She knew BF had these feelings so strongly, was my maid of honor, and essentially hated my partner at this point. And then when BF told the whole friend group the situation, and they all came at me for not believing her and having to explain my side, and only half of them listened to me. She was one of the ones that said I should just listen to my best friend when she knew all the stuff that she had been saying, and essentially confessing to her that it was a lie. She didn't do anything herself, but she watched it all happen until she felt too guilty. And right now, that just hurts, and I'm not sure I want her in my life. I get that, especially if you saw those text messages. It seems like they obviously were very comfortable talking about you two and talking about I'm sure they talked so much shit about you, which honestly, whatever. That's like what happens in friend groups, and it's crazy to act like people don't talk shit about people. But I get not wanting to be friends with those people, especially because it seems like that girl is definitely closer with her ex best friend. And I feel like, why would you want to stay friends with someone that is obviously just going to go back and I feel like tell your ex best friend everything that you say or everything that you're doing? And it's just like a way for your ex best friend to still know like everything that's going on in your life. And I just feel like that's just like snake behavior. And I wouldn't want to be in a situation like that either. Me either. The top comment says, she's your friend, so you should believe her. STFU. If fiance isn't her friend, what the F? Why the F is she marrying him? Wait, sorry. Shut the F up. If fiance isn't her friend, WTF is she marrying him? This is why the for no reason argument is such a slippery slope, because people naturally assume that it's a logical reason, but reasoning isn't always logical. I do like how one of the friends acknowledged that if you look at the post pretending to not know the friend, it becomes a lot more clear. It really shows how just knowing the person can sometimes really cloud your judgment. Honestly, yeah, she clocked that. She clocked that. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.